What is up, everyone? Here we are again with another huge news and rumor roundup of everything we've learned this past week with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Our last video received so much positive feedback, we decided to continue with the same format. So instead of making separate videos about each individual piece of news, we'll be doing more videos like this, which is a collection of everything that's been released. In this episode, we will talk about the confirmed return of the Rito race, that Super Bowl trailer Nintendo released for Breath of the Wild on the Switch, Miyamoto and Aonuma talking about using the Goron, Zoras, and other races as companion characters in a similar way as Wolf-Link, how Nintendo is using the NPCs to make a truly living, breathing world, a huge roundup of some interesting rumors that have been brought to my attention, and much more. Make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos, and be sure to leave your thoughts on today's news in the comments below, as well as anything that I may have missed. And if we use it on a future video, I'll be sure to give you a shout out and credit you for bringing it to my attention. And with all of that out of the way, let's get started. First up, we have the return of the Rito race. A lot of people thought the bird race shown off during the Life in the Ruins trailer was a brand new race entirely. However, it was revealed by a translation of the Famitsu skins that this bird race is actually the same Rito tribe we know from the Wind Waker. However, that doesn't mean this game will take place during the same timeline as the Wind Waker, as Aonuma in a recent interview said that while this game shares graphical style similar to and certain elements with the Wind Waker, such as the Korok, the Deku Tree, and now the Rito tribe, the story of Breath of the Wild has nothing to do with the Wind Waker. The similarities are only visual. During the same interview, he says he can't tell us exactly where this game takes place on the timeline, but in this game, the world of Hyrule has been at war with Ganon many times, so you can probably figure out where it does belong. Our last news video actually goes quite in depth on this and pinpoints the location of the game on the timeline using Aonuma's own words. You can find that video linked in the description and pinned in the comments. However, the name of the race wasn't the only thing confirmed. The following is a direct translation from Zelda Informer of the information given in the Famitsu scans. The female Zora in the trailer is named Mipha, who is a young Zora, somewhere between 7 and 18 years of age. She dwells in water and lives in Hyrule, and has special powers and abilities not found in other Zora tribes. She has the same blue cloth as the Goron and the Rito, and they all have a special weapon. As for Princess Zelda, she is the princess of a dying, destroyed Hyrule. She's wise and curious, and very psychological. She is set to have a more dramatic story than ever. Second on our list, we have an interview with Aonuma and Miyamoto, where they go incredibly in depth on details on the world and NPCs found in Hyrule. Aonuma tells us there are people who live in this world just as monsters are living in the world. These little details are something that I think everybody will enjoy, so I really want you to pay attention to these fun details as well. Then Miyamoto says, initially when we were creating this game, there were scenes with tons of villages in one place, or some of the villagers were wandering at night. But it's so dangerous, who would do that? Aonuma laughs. It detracted from the immersion. But as we worked on it, we reworked things so that they each have their own lives. Aonuma later says, this is a world filled with monsters, so Link can't be the only one who is battling to take them down. There are people along the way who will ask Link for help, and if he helps them out, they will give him rewards like items and such. Aonuma goes on to say, you saw in the trailer there are lots of people who Link can interact with, and there are tons of towns and villages. Above all, there are the stables which we showed during the Treehouse Live. Stables are where users can register the horses that they ride, but there's more to the stables than that. They serve as the crossroads where people come and go, and you'll be able to meet new characters and exchange information. Then Miyamoto comments, all of this is seamless, everything is connected so you can really understand where that village or that stable is in the world. There you have it guys, a truly living, breathing world. This won't be like Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess where most characters had nothing to say or even do. You aren't able to find anybody just wandering around Hyrule Field. They stood there or wandered around in the same area with no real purpose other than the same few scripted lines. In Breath of the Wild, it seems it'll be more like Skyward Sword or Majora's Mask, where a lot of the characters were at a certain location at a certain point in time, and they each seem to have their own unique stories, especially in Majora's Mask. And although that game was on very limited hardware, the Nintendo 64, it still allowed the world of Termina to feel alive. It seems Breath of the Wild is even taking this a step further. So I'm really excited to see everything this game has to offer. Let me know in the comments below what type of interactions you hope to have with the NPCs. Third on our list, we have that Super Bowl trailer Nintendo released for Breath of the Wild. It shows off a lot of great stuff, a new area, and some pretty huge bosses. but I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I already have an in-depth analysis going over every little secret and hidden detail I was able to find in the trailer. You can find a link to that pinned in the top comment on this video or in the description, so check it out if you haven't already after this video. At number 4, we have some huge news. During an interview with Aonuma, he says, in the trailer you probably saw some characters and wondered who they are. These are companions who will help Link on his journey, and the support that you'll see from these characters is not the usual kind. It's a bit more mysterious. Alright guys, can you believe this? We're going to be getting that Gerudo, the Zora, a Goron, and Rito as companion characters to help us out throughout this game, or at least in certain areas in a similar way we had help from the Koroks and Rito tribe in certain dungeons during the Wind Waker. However, Aonuma says they won't help us in the usual way, and that it's a bit more mysterious. I'm not gonna lie, I love this. I have so many thoughts on what this could mean. Perhaps we can switch between controlling Link and the other race, similar to playing that song in Wind Waker that allowed you to control the other characters. And that would be perfect. But what are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments below. What does Aonuma mean by mysterious? Finally, we have our last bit of news for the day. A collection of rumors sent to me here on YouTube from fans like you. Now, unlike the stories I told you earlier, these are not confirmed. The news earlier came straight from Nintendo in interviews with the creators. This, however, is entering rumor territory, but I thought it was interesting to say the least. Alright, so it starts out, Link wakes up in the Resurrection Chamber with no memory of what has happened. Alright, so we know this part's true. Very non-linear game approach, certain events cause flashbacks from which we learn what has happened. There's also a 90% chance that this statement is also true. In one of the dungeons, Link is connected to another warrior 100 years in the past in the desert area. Here he switches between the warrior and himself to proceed in the dungeon. So this is kind of something similar that's happened in past Zelda games when you had to switch between Link and the Korok or Link and the Rito like in the Wind Waker. There are several resurrection chambers. Zelda awakens a little bit before Link but retains her memory. Ocarina of Time Castle Town and Twilight Princess Castle Town are two different locations which are in this game. A lot of people theorize that the Castle Town that we see that's completely destroyed is the one that we can see from Twilight Princess, and some theorize that the Great Plateau is actually Hyrule Castle Town from Ocarina of Time, which is why the Temple of Time looks like it was pulled directly out of Ocarina of Time. It goes on to say a third intact castle and a giant city exists named Dragonhorn Fortress. I don't know if that's true, that doesn't really sound like a Zelda-esque name, but who knows. The Purple Beast, or Calamity Ganon, is just Ganon's magic and not his true form. He is simply Ganondorf. You can go directly to Ganon at the beginning of the game, but you will presumably die because you will need a new rune which acts like a force field at which you can access the Calamity. Because when you are near the entrance of the castle, the Calamity will spew purple lightning bolts at you which insta-kills you without the force field. Alright, the Master Sword is put at the hero's pedestal by the Sheikah and hidden away from Ganon when you are put in the Resurrection Chamber. I don't know if Zelda counts as a Sheikah member, but in Ocarina of Time we know Sheik, her counterpart, is a Sheikah member, so I mean I guess Zelda putting it there could be considered a Sheikah putting it there. We know it's directly in front of the Deku Tree. It goes on to say you can get poisoned. There's no mention of where this game takes place on the timeline, and they end it with this. I got this information from a game developer in Sweden. Take it with a grain of salt. Alright, so as someone who comes across rumors a lot, I just hate that phrase. I think it's so overused. Take it with a grain of salt. But whatever. Anyways, I'm not sure why a random game developer in Sweden would know the specifics of a Japanese developed game from one of the most secretive companies in the industry, but who knows, this could simply be one of those my friend has an uncle who works at Nintendo made up nonsense, or there could be some truth to it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. What's up everybody, really quick before we get to the usual end slate, I wanted to mention a quick update for this channel. I'm trying to bring together a few new series other than the usual discussions and news videos that we do. I would like to bring quality reviews, let's plays, do more live streams, a top 10 series, and more analysis videos. However, to do this I need your help. Between being a new father, YouTube, and my real job, I don't have the time to work on all of these videos. So I'd like to bring on other people who can help out from time to time, like Sasizi and others who have helped host and edit videos before. To make this all happen and to get awesome rewards for yourself, head over to patreon.com/GameOverJesse where you can get shoutouts and videos, join our group Discord and chat with us whenever you want, be a guest on some of our videos, and much more. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I would like to give a huge thank you to this month's Patreons for their support: George Martinez, Glenn Cassio, Hen Hutinen, Lunarium, Magic Tech Review, The Itch Network, and Harris Priest. Thank you all for everything, and it's because of your support that I'm able to find the time to do these videos. If you would also like to support this channel, head over to patreon.com/GameOverJesse, where you can find all kinds of great rewards like joining on a video, being added onto our Discord chat, having your discussion or topic featured on one of our videos, and much more, including having your own custom artwork similar to my own, drawn of you in any anime or video game style you would like. Finally, I would like to give a huge thank you to Nomo Designs and CS Guitar 89 for providing the music and artwork for this channel.